Hey everyone, it's me. I wanted to talk about crocheting and something I'm working on. This blanket makes me extra happy because I like bright colors and I like to create things that have no rhyme or reason. I'm using two skeins of yarn. This is like metallic and this is like a rainbow. So the metallic yarn is like blue and purple, various shades of blue and purple, and this is rainbow. So I kind of try to color coordinate kind of in a way, but so at least some of the yarn matches the other part. But I wanted to talk about crocheting and why crocheting is so much fun. This is a continual granny square blanket, which you turn after every time you go around the blanket. When it, I've made blankets from a small blanket for a 3, 5, 7 year old, and then I've made other blankets. I made a blanket for my grandma, and that was more of a full size, along with my aunt's. She wanted Green Bay Packer colors, so I did like I think I did a green, yellow, and um, white blanket for her. And I've also I'm working also on another blanket, which is like more of a blue and gray. I can't really show that one because it's a surprise for my sister. I've been working on that one for a little while too. So in order to lighten the mood, I actually work with really bright colors. And just to give you an idea, and I'll crochet while I'm talking. I'm doing a double crochet, and people that crochet will be able to understand this, but crocheting has been around since the beginning of time. People have crocheted everything under the sun. And have stuck primarily with blankets lately. I don't know why. I just think because I'm always curious how they're going to turn out. And I always think they're, for me, a bigger project, but it doesn't really bother me. Sometimes when I get towards the end of the project, I get a little bit tired, and then I think, okay, I'm gonna finish this one up a couple more times around, and then I'm gonna be done. So I wanted to talk about the benefits of crocheting for those who are contemplating starting crochet. Crocheting has been around for the beginning of time, or sorry, since the beginning of time, because not only for an artistic reason, but also because crocheting has been proven to lessen anxiety, to help people that are suffering from PTSD, to help people that want to keep their minds young, older people that help with, it can help with um, uh, the the hand to mind function. It's to get your mind to be stimulated and refreshed, and it's kind of like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, it's actually like secondhand nature. I mean, I can drive a stick shift car, so you can just imagine if I can drive a stick shift car, I can do almost anything. So crocheting in and of itself um, is one of those things that brings about joy, and I think also sometimes can get stressed out. People can get stressed out because what a lot of folks don't understand who don't crochet and don't do crafts is that to create anything with your hands, not only does yarn cost money, but the time and effort it takes to create anything with your hands, it takes me, I'd say, because this blanket isn't big, it's about, I think, 3 feet by 3 feet right now. It's a square, so it's about 3 feet either way. I don't think people understand every single stitch you have to put into this. Lots of love, lots of patience, lots of time. And the effort it takes to do this is it can be work, or it can be for pleasure, or sometimes it's both. So I just know for me, it takes me, when I get to the size of a king size blanket, it takes me about 30 minutes to go along each side of the blanket to get around to the other side. So you're talking 4 sides, it's about 2 hours, which means at night when you're watching television. I mean, and this is, it's when it takes about 30 minutes, depending on what you have to do, or if someone calls, or you have anything else to take care of. There's always something going on around you that needs to be tended to. So as you can see, this to me, is very relaxing. I had learned how to crochet as a little girl. My grandma crocheted blankets for all of her children, her her children's spouses, and all of us grandchildren, just all of her grandchildren. And then she ceased after the last grandchild. And um, I think she also made, either her or my mom made blankets for my kids. But either way, it's just one of those situations that is, it's been passed down. But I remember when I was a little girl, I learned how to crochet, did the basic chain, and I remember I would try to do a scarf, and it started to, instead of going straight up and down like this, it would go on an angle, and I lost steps along the way, and I just kind of gave it up. It wasn't something I held on to. And then I went to the VA, and they have this knitting class. So I took the knitting class and learned how to knit. And one day I said, well, I think I'll learn how to crochet again. Unfortunately, on YouTube, um, they had a ton of videos. So I was able to learn how to do the basic chain. And then I realized when I was doing crochet that I had always forgotten to do an additional, cast on the end. Before you turn your work, you have to do an additional chain on the end, and then you turn and you go into the chain next to it. So I've made videos on how to do a chain and how to keep your work straight and things like that. So I just think for me, it just gives me something to do. It can be work, and I know my personal experience is I've really never sold anything, because if I was to take in the amount of time, work, effort, plus all of the yarn that I have to buy for a blanket. One skein of yarn can be anywhere from $4, and this is a lower end yarn, and more expensive yarn can run you 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 for just one ball of yarn. And they usually call it a skein, but it's called a ball of yarn. So depends on the material, depends on the thickness, depends on the dye, etc. So there's a lot of things that factor in when it comes to crocheting and knitting. So I think the most important thing when learning how to crochet and understanding this craft is, as you can see, I can go and go and go, but it does take time. It does take patience, and I just wanted to show people what it's like to sit and crochet and have a quiet moment and really enjoy. I think for me, outside of crocheting, I like to make sure I have a candle on the candle warmer, a different scent. Right now, I think I have balsam and cedar, so it smells like the great outdoors, something that we're really not enjoying right now as much as we'd like to. Um, I also don't do a lot of florals, but once in a while I do lilacs, because lilacs are absolutely my favorite, um, my favorite flowers. And I love roses and everything too, but lilacs primarily because, just like Girl Scout cookies, they're only around for a short amount of time and then they just go away. And those darn Girl Scout cookies, I tell you. But anyways, I try to, take care of myself. I try to do things that bring me peace, relaxation. I've never really gotten into like a meditation, but really I've learned about mindfulness, and I think it's great to meditate. I think because I live alone, and when I wake up it's very quiet and I have my fan on, I don't think I am as in much need of meditation as someone who has a very busy life, and maybe someone that has children, or anything along those lines. So, anyhow, I hope all of us crocheters and other people who want to crochet um, really help one another out. I have been giving away knitting needles and yarn just to keep people busy. Um, I have primarily been hanging out at home, enjoying Judge Judy once in a while, which is one of my absolute favorite shows. I'm not gonna lie. Um, it's I'm not addicted to the show. I just think it's one of those things I need in the middle of the day. It's kind of like a little pick me up. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like watching comedy show. For it's like half an hour of not comedy, but it's like one of these situations. See right here, I got snagged, so I have to pull my yarn out and start over. I think it's because my ring got caught, but I can back this out and then try to straighten this out. I don't like to have any snags or anything in my yarn, anything that looks fuzzy. I like for my yarn to be nice and neat and straight. So as you can see, I can pull it out and then I'll just have to take my rings off for the time being, or turn them around. I can turn them around too so they don't get snagged. But anyways, um, just wanted to show this to you and pull it out and start over and continue the journey. It's like doing a puzzle. It's kind of like doing a puzzle or doing some Zentangle work. Um, anything, I used to like to do crossword puzzles. I rarely finish them, but when I did finish it, I would celebrate. So I'd light a candle and to do crossword puzzles. So because it's a little tough, crossword puzzles you kind of get used to them sometimes repeating, the clues, and so I think for me sometimes I remember, sometimes I forget, but sometimes I do write down um, the main the hot ones that come up more than once in a while. So anyways, um, I had to back out a little bit because it got stuck, but so that's how you keep going with your crochet work. I hope this video encourages someone to crochet, and primarily crochet for yourself. And if you want to make gifts for other people, that's great. I just know when it comes to people that crochet and knit, I think they get frustrated sometimes, more often than not, when they are asked by family or friends or coworkers to create something for them. I just think, from what I've heard sometimes, is that people that don't crochet don't understand the cost that is involved in crocheting. So they say, well, I'll give you $20 if you can make me a blanket. Well, oh, that's, you've spent a lot more on just yarn than $20. So I think for me, I would rather make things and give them as gifts than be commissioned to make something. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that while I crocheted, and I hope everyone's having a good night. Bye bye.